Hello everyone, a warm welcome to our chemistry channel ChemPhilic. Here we are going to discuss the diverse topics of chemistry. We will be focusing on both the basic understanding and solving question answers. In the next few lectures, we will be discussing question answers for CBSE class 9 and 10 term 1. So be with us. Please like, share and subscribe. In the previous video, we have discussed MCQ type questions on chemical reactions and equation. Please go through the link. It is given in the description box. Today, we will learn how to balance a chemical equation. So, let's get started. So, how to balance the skeletal equation? The first is given Fe plus H2O gives Fe3O4 and H2. So what to do? For this, you have to make one small table. This table consists of 3 columns. In the first column, the heading is element present. Next, in reactant side, and the last one is in product side. So first, you have to write down that what are the elements present in this skeletal equation. So Fe, that means iron. So I am writing Fe in the first column. So now count the number of atoms Fe in the reactant side as well as in the product side. So in the reactant side, obviously Fe is present. The atom of Fe is 1. And in the product side, the atom of iron is 3. Now next one is the hydrogen. As you can see, the number of hydrogen atoms in the reactant side, this is 2. And the number of atoms of hydrogen in the product side also is 2. And last one is the oxygen. So the number of atoms of oxygen in the reactant side is 1 and in the product side this is 4. So this is our step 1. Now what we have to do in step number 2? In step number 2, you have to find out the element with least frequency of occurrence. Okay, and that atom or that element should be balanced first. So as you can see that for Fe in the reactant side also 1 atom of Fe is present, and for oxygen also 1 atom of oxygen is present. So which to balance first? First we have to balance the metallic part, that means Fe, iron will balance first. So in the reactant side iron is 1. And in the product side, the atoms of iron is 3. So how to balance? Just we will multiply the reactant side iron atoms with 3. That means with 3. Now what we will get? Now we will get 3 of Fe plus H2O, Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. Now these iron atoms are balanced on both the side. In reactant side also this is 3 and in product side also this is 3. Next, what to balance? Hydrogen is already balanced because the number of hydrogen atoms in both sides is 2. Now for oxygen, in the reactant side number of oxygen atom is 1 and in the product side this is 4. So we have to multiply the reactant side oxygen atoms with 4. So what should we get now? We should get 3 Fe plus 4 H2O, Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. Now check, whenever we will balance the reactant side oxygen with 4, the number of hydrogen atom in the reactant side will also change accordingly. Now the number of hydrogen atoms in the reactant side, this is 8. So now the number of hydrogen atoms in the reactant side, this is 8. And in the product side, still it is 2. So how to balance these hydrogen atoms? So just we will multiply the product side hydrogen with 4. So what should we get? We should get 3 Fe plus 4 of H2O, Fe3O4 plus 4 hydrogen. Okay, now you may check the total atom count for all the elements. Fe, this is 3 in reactant side and also this is 3 in product side. Now this is hydrogen, 4 to the 8 in the reactant side and also 4 to the 8 in the product side, and oxygen 4 in the reactant side and 4 also in the product side. So now this is a balanced equation, and whenever an equation gets balanced, you will not use any arrow sign, you will use one equal to sign. Okay, so this equation is now balanced. So move for the next one. This is the next skeletal equation. Manganese dioxide plus hydrochloric acid, MnCl2, manganese chloride plus chlorine and hydrogen. So same way, we have to make one small table. First one is the element present, next in reactant side, and the last one is in the product side. So what are the elements present in this skeletal equation? First one is manganese, Mn. Okay. So what is the number of atoms present in for manganese in reactant and product side? In the reactant side only one manganese atom is present, so 1. And in the product side also one manganese atom, so 1. Next element is oxygen. Oxygen present in the reactant side is 2. And in the product side the number of oxygen atom is 1. Next one is hydrogen. Hydrogen present in the reactant side is 1 and in the product side this is 2. And last one is the chlorine. Now chlorine present in the reactant side this is 1 and in the product side this is 2 plus 2, that means 4. So first we will balance the metallic part. Like we will start this with manganese. Now the beautiful thing is that manganese is already balanced because the number of atoms of manganese in both reactant and product side, this is 1 only. So in the next step what we will do, so now check the element with least frequency. So the least frequency atom you will get oxygen, hydrogen and chlorine. For all this you will get 1, 1, 1. So let us start with balancing. So let us start with balancing first from this chlorine. Okay, so in the reactant side the number of atoms of chlorine is 1 and in the product side this is 4. So how to balance? Just we will multiply the reactant side chlorine with 4. So what we will get now? We will get MnO2 plus 4HCl, MnCl2 plus Cl2 plus H2O. Now if I multiply the reactant side chlorine, that means HCl, with 4, so the number of atoms of hydrogen in the reactant side, this will also change accordingly. Now the number of atoms of hydrogen in the reactant side, this is now 4. Now this is 4 as you can see, but in the product side this is still 2. Then how to balance this equation? That means these hydrogen atoms, we will multiply the product side hydrogen with 2. So what should we get now? Now MnO2 plus 4HCl, this is MnCl2 plus Cl2 plus 2H2O. Now check the number of atoms on both sides. Mn 1 in the reactant side and 1 in the product side. Now oxygen 2 in the reactant side and also 2 in the product side. Hydrogen 4 in the reactant side and 2 to the 4 in the product side. Chlorine 4 in the reactant side and 2 plus 2 4 in the product side. Now this equation is balanced, so we must keep one equal sign here, not the arrow sign. Okay, arrow indicates the skeleton equation which is still to be balanced, but this equal sign indicates that already the equation is balanced. So after balancing you have to put this equal sign, not the arrow sign. Now the next one. What is the next one? Potassium chlorate gives potassium chloride and oxygen. So again the same thing we have to do. So element present in reactant side and in product side. So elements, this is potassium. So what is the number of atoms of potassium in reactant side? This is 1. And in product side also this is 1. Next one is the chlorine. In reactant side chlorine atom present is 1 and in the product side also this is 1. Last one is the oxygen. In the reactant side this is 3 and in the product side this is 2. Now already potassium and chlorine, these two are balanced. So we have to balance the oxygen atom only. Now how to balance the oxygen atom? We have to do the simple LCM of 3 and 2. And what is the LCM of 3 and 2? This is 6. So in order to make this number 3 to 6, we have to multiply this with 2. And this 2 must be multiplied with 3 so that we can get 6 on both the sides. So from this is the very clear that the reactant side oxygen as well as the product side oxygen, both we have to multiply some number. The reactant side oxygen must be multiplied with 2 and the product side oxygen must be multiplied by 3. So what should we get now? So 2 of KClO3 gives KCl plus 3O2. Now these oxygen atoms are balanced, 3 to the 6 in the reactant side and also 3 to the 6 in the product side. But what about this potassium and chlorine? Whenever we will multiply this oxygen, reactant side oxygen with 2, the number of atoms of potassium and chlorine, this also have been changed. Now the number of potassium atom in the reactant side is 2 and chlorine also 2 in the reactant side, but in the product side they are still 1 and 1. So what we will do? We will multiply both potassium and chlorine with 2. And from where we will get this potassium and chlorine? In the product side, this appears in a single compound KCl. So just you have to multiply this KCl with 2. So 2 KClO3, 2 of KCl plus 3 of O2. Now check, all the atoms are now balanced, like potassium 2 in the reactant side, in the product side also 2, chlorine 2 in the reactant side, 2 also in the product side, and oxygen 6 in the reactant side and 6 in the product side also. So what we will do? We will just change this sign to the equal sign. Hope you understand. So the next one is PbO plus NH3 gives us Pb plus H2O plus N2. Now, so the element present, first you have to write down the element present and you have to count the number of atoms of the element present. So first one is the lead. In the reactant side this is 1, in the product side also this is 1. Next is oxygen. In the reactant side the number of atoms is 1, in the product side also this is 1. Next nitrogen. In the reactant side this is 1 and in the product side this is 2. And last one is the hydrogen. In the reactant side this is 3 and in the product side this is 2. So the same way we have to follow. So let us start with lead, but lead is already balanced 1-1 in both reactant and product side. So and oxygen is also balanced 1-1 in both reactant and product side. So let us start with this nitrogen. Nitrogen in the reactant side this is 1 and in the product side this is 2. Why we are taking the nitrogen? Because the nitrogen have the least frequency of occurrence in this table. That is why. So how to balance? We have to multiply the reactant side nitrogen with 2. So what should we get now? PbO plus 2NH3 gives us Pb plus H2O plus N2. Now nitrogen is balanced, but what about the hydrogen? Now whenever we will multiply the reactant side nitrogen, that means NH3 with 2, the number of hydrogen atoms will also change accordingly. As you can see, now the number of hydrogen atoms in the reactant side, this is 3 to the 6. So this is 6 in the reactant side. But in the product side, this is still 2. So what to do? We have to multiply this product side hydrogen with 3. So what should we get now? PbO plus 2NH3 Pb plus H2O plus 3N2. Now check whether this is a balanced equation or not. So lead 1 in the reactant side and 1 also in the product side. Oxygen 1 in the reactant side, 1 in the product side. Nitrogen 2 in the reactant side. Oh, sorry, what I have done, that I have written this 3 in nitrogen, but it must be in hydrogen. No, because we have to multiply this product side hydrogen with 3. So now the hydrogen is 6 in the reactant side, and this is also 6 in the product side. Now what about this oxygen? Whenever we will multiply the product side, the reactant side nitrogen and hydrogen, then what will happen? The number of oxygen count will also change. Now the number of oxygen atom in the product side, this is 3, but in the reactant side this is still 1. So what we have to do? We have to multiply the reactant side oxygen with 3. So this must be 3. And now the number of atoms of lead will also change. Now this becomes 3 in the reactant side, but in the product side this is still 1. So we have to multiply the product side lead with 3. So now the equation is balanced. You can check it also. Lead 3 in the reactant side, 3 also in the product side. Oxygen 3 in the reactant side, 3 also in the product side. Nitrogen 2 in the reactant side and 2 in the product side. Hydrogen 6, 3 to the 6 in the reactant side and 3 to the 6 in the product side. So now the sign will change to equal sign. And the last one. Pb3O4 plus HCl gives us PbCl2 plus H2O plus chlorine. So same one we have to follow. That what are the elements present? Lead. What is the number of atoms of lead in the reactant side? This is 3. And in the product side this is 1. Next oxygen. This is 4 in the reactant side and only 1 in the product side. Now hydrogen, only 1 in the reactant side but 2 in the product side. Last one is the chlorine. Chlorine is 1 in the reactant side and in the product side it is 2 plus 2, that means 4. So how to balance? So we will start the balancing from the metallic path, that means from lead we will start. Now lead in the reactant side, the lead atom is 3 and in the product side this is 1. So what we will do? We will just multiply the product side lead with 3. So what should we get? Pb3O4 plus HCl, 3PbCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. Now if we multiply the product side PbCl2 with 3, the number of chlorine atoms will also change accordingly. Now the number of chlorine atoms, this is 3 to the 6 plus 2, that means 8. 3 to the 6 plus 2, that means 8 in the product side. But this is still 1 in the reactant side. So how to balance this? We have to multiply the reactant side chlorine with 8. So what should we get now? Pb3O4 plus 8HCl, 3 of PbCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. Now if we multiply the reactant side chlorine with 8, then the number of hydrogen count in the reactant side, this will also change. Now this is 8, but now this is 8 in the reactant side, but in the product side this is still 2. So how to balance? We have to multiply the product side hydrogen with 4. So what should you get now? Pb3O4 plus 8 of HCl, 3 PbCl2 plus 4 H2O plus chlorine. Now just check whether the equation is balanced or not. So lead atom in the reactant side this is 3, in the product side also this is 3. Oxygen 4 in the reactant side, 4 in the product side also. Hydrogen 8 in the reactant side, 4 to the 8 in the product side also. Chlorine 8 in the reactant side and 3 to the 6 plus 2, that means 8 in the product side also. So now the equation gets balanced. So this sign will be changed to the equal sign. So thank you for watching our video, and if you think that this is useful, then please like, share and subscribe.